I spent almost 2 years in a job that was slowly destroying my soul. And looking back at it now, I can see the five massive red flags that I decided to completely ignore. And the worst part is that those red flags, they were already visible in the first month of me working there. But I decided, or I thought, that they are completely normal. So if you are right now in the job and you feel like, oh, this job is not that bad, this video can save you years of working in the wrong place. I'm going to walk you through each red flag. How did it show up and what to look out for? Because this is not just about you potentially wasting your time. It's literally about you having confidence chipped away every single day, and at the end it is all about your mental health. Plus, at the end, I'll share with you a simple framework to keep in mind every time you're evaluating a new job to decide your next move. So stick around for that. And for anyone new here, I'm Justyna. I'm an occupational psychologist and a coach, and I just love optimization. But whatever I love more than optimization is fulfillment, especially at work. And not only my fulfillment and me looking for the answer for ultimate fulfillment in life, but also a fulfillment of other people. Let's move on. For the context, this was admin, logistic, job position, and it was something that I was doing while also working, and on paper this job was amazing. It was an office job. It was my one of the first jobs in the office when I had a lot of privileges. You don't have to work on the weekends, you don't have to work long hours in the evening, because before I was working in hospitality, so that was a shift. You were literally paid for meetings with coffees and cookies and just catching up with people and all the social events. And on top of that, you were also allowed to work hybridly, so I was going to the office maybe twice a week or sometimes even less. So I felt like I literally hit a jackpot, such a comfortable position where I can get the money for being a human being and being respected, but also not really working that hard because everything is happening in the computer. But as long as you do your tasks, you are done for the day. But spoiler alert, it didn't end that well. But hey, at least I've learned my lesson of what not to look for in a next job. Red flag number 1. They don't clearly tell you what the success in this role looks like. When I asked my manager how the performance will be measured, I got a vague response about making meaningful contributions. And I thought that, like, wow, probably it all depends, or wow, they trust me, so, you know, I've got this. But wrong. They just didn't have idea what they were talking about, and to be honest, there was no measure of success. It was just all about going through the motion, checking out the tasks that are literally never ending. So at the end of the day, there is no success because you're just going through the motions. There is no metrics, nobody's measuring. You just have to be all the time solving the problems. And once you don't solve one problem, then, well, you're not really being efficient or effective. So nowadays in the interviews, I always ask what success would look like in this specific job role. And if they cannot give you any specifics or measurements, just run, because there is nothing you can hold on to later on at the yearly review, or maybe in the moment when you're asking for promotion. There is nothing you can say that, oh, I've done this, I've done that, because there is no measure of success. So even though you did all of those things, it doesn't mean that you are successful in this role at the end of the day. Red flag number 2. The previous person left under mysterious circumstances. In that job, everyone kept saying that that predecessor just wasn't a right fit. They couldn't give me, again, specifics, but also everyone that I asked had different answers. And later on, I found out that they already filled the same position twice in 1 year, and people just kept on leaving. And then also I found out that this position wasn't even filled for 1 year straight because they couldn't find anyone interested in that position. And you could think that maybe it's a bad luck, or maybe it's a slow time in the market. But this is literally systematic chaos, and there is a reason why nobody wants to be there and why everyone kept on leaving. If this is a new position, or predecessor got promoted, or they decided to go travel, or on maternity leave, or maybe change the industry, these are valid reasons. But if everyone just keeps it vague, that means that, first of all, something is going on. Second of all, they don't know the specific reason. And if they don't know the specific reason, that means that they cannot address the reason why everyone keeps on leaving. So nothing is going to change. You will be just the next person to take that job and then later on leave it after 6 months. Red flag number 3. I love this one. And it is that everyone seemed exhausted. Like exhausted. Now, when I look back at it, I can see that. But before, I just felt like this is normal, that everyone is really formal. It was an admin job in a specific industry. So I thought that this is normal, that they are so serious. But now, looking back at it, it just means that something was just draining them. They weren't that fulfilled and they weren't that satisfied. It might be that they were constrained and limited, but it also might mean that they were burned out. Literally, like their soul was crushed by years and years of working. They could literally feel like there is no reason to feel alive. And during my office tour, I noticed that everyone during their lunch, they were eating that lunch in front of the computer, still working, which might lead to them being super stressed out and burnout and just not having that barriers, where to work and when to work. And also, people prefer to eat lunch or spend a lot of time alone, separating themselves, which I found quite weird because we were supposed to be team players. So at the beginning, I convinced myself that I'm going to be different. I'm going to be polite, I'm going to be super kind and warm, and I'm going to be the person who actually cheers up other people. And I'm not usually that kind of person, but if everyone is there so burnt out and I am the fresh energy, then I want to bring that intense positive energy because I know that it can help them. So I was bringing cookies, I was asking them how they are, I was scheduling coffee chats and lunch together, and I felt like I'm going to change that place. But I realized after some time, the more I was working, the more it was all about just surviving. Do your job and just go home and forget what you've done, because tomorrow you'll just repeat it all over again. And then I understood that I turned into the other people, that this job literally took my energy. It was just a matter of time. At the beginning, of course, you come with a lot of energy and freshness, but it was just a matter of time until I became one of them. So pay attention to people's body language, but also energy levels. Are they really enjoying what they do, or are they just like super serious, feel like whatever they will say, it's going to be taken against them, so they are really careful about what they're saying out loud or who they are speaking it to, and whether they feel like, I'm relaxed. It's also about having pleasure at work and not just surviving, not just being so pressured and having such a stiff body language and just like no sparks in your eyes. I don't know how else to describe it, how I felt there. That every single person was just there to be like, oh, another day, another share, let's just get over it and just go home. That is basically the best description of what was going on there. And everyone had the same face saying that. Of course they didn't say it, but if they could, they would. Red flag number 4. People are constantly going on vacations, holidays, or calling in sick. This is no-brainer. If you are literally in a workplace that is draining you and is just so unfulfilling, no wonder you want breaks. And sometimes you want to go on holidays, and I get it, but sometimes it is your body telling you by being ill or being sick that something is going on, like I don't want to be there. So people actually have tendency to call more sick than in the jobs when they feel happier and more satisfied. Maybe because they are just overusing the ability to call in sick, that's also one thing, but also because they are being sick more often because of the harmful effects of a workplace, effects that are invisible, and yet your body is literally accumulating them. I would show up to the meetings and literally the half of the people would be missing, and everyone would be so confused, and people would be like, oh, I wasn't briefed, I don't know what's happening because this person is not sick, suddenly they called sick and I haven't been there, and I haven't been at work for the last week or 2 weeks, or suddenly they just went on holidays. First of all, communication there was absolutely bad and nobody knew nothing about one another jobs, or there was no debriefing really before going on leave or before falling sick. But when the half or majority of people is literally missing or is just not there, this is the weird part. And the weirder part is that nobody seemed surprised by this. I get it that everyone is on holidays during a holiday season like July and August, but when this is just like a normal month, like January, although it is depressing time, but November, let's say, and then half of the team is just suddenly missing. This is strange. Let's not take it as a normal thing. And sometimes I would hear that this person or that person, like example, oh, Jenny or Chris, they are taking a mental health day. And I thought oh wow, they are taking care of their mental health, or they are just having a little break because they want to take advantage of those benefits. But then I realized that no, dude, they are so suffering. That's why they had to take this break, because there is something there that is literally destroying them from within. And if they were in a good spot, they wouldn't need a break. And I believe that we all know that feeling, that when we don't like something, we just avoid it. We don't like a specific friend, just avoiding spending time with them. You don't like a dentist and you just avoid going and taking an appointment there. And this is what those people were doing. They were escaping. And after some time, I did exact same thing. Every other month I was booking some holidays just to go somewhere and get some pleasure, or just get some different life, different perspective, just to rest from my miserable life that I didn't see that it is that miserable, because it was chronically little bit bad and unfulfilling and just stable and really monotonous and really boring. So it's not that something horrible was happening every single day or I was abused there. It was more about how unfulfilling and unengaging that job was, that there was no aspirations for the future and no growth, which personal development, it's really, really important for me. So in my last year in that job, every other month I was on holidays for a couple of days, and also that was the year when I was the most sick in that place. Then the last one, 5th red flag, is probably the most insane one, that nobody knew about any major decision being made in that company. Plus there was plenty of temporary staff doing a permanent staff jobs. Like, I would ask simple questions. Where is the deadline for this project? Or who should I contact to get this done or to move forward this project? Who is approving the budget for this? Because I need that information. And people's reaction was just literally them staring at me. They would be saying, oh, I don't know, or this is beyond my pay grade. Or they would be suggesting to contact another person, and that another person will be saying contact that person, and then that person. And then none of the projects were moving forward. And I was just stuck there, trying to make changes, trying to make improvements, trying to do my job and to solve things, but I was just meeting dead ends all the time. And at some point, all those projects, either they hit the dead end or they were slowly disappearing into a black hole of we'll deal with it later or at another time, at a better time. And then the priority was literally some stupid, unimportant thing that was actioned immediately. And that was probably the most frustrating thing, that big projects, meaningful things that could improve everyone's lives and everyone's functioning, all the processes were literally ignored, and all the simple and significant things that one person just wanted and we could actually solve it were actioned immediately. And that was the problem of that, because the big things would need some kind of responsibility from higher management and people up there, but nobody knew who would be that person, because even people up there didn't know. And additionally, people who were doing critical work or had additional significant power to change things and approve things were contractors or temporary staff. And you know how it is. They were literally leaving like the moment you need them most, and then you need to retrain the next person, and it's like a never-ending cycle. So you are on your own at the end of the day. And the temporary staff wasn't there because this job was only project-based work. It was because company couldn't figure out if they need this position long-term. And at the end, the half of the jobs that were supposed to be permanent and they were not going anywhere were still temporary. All the temporary jobs, they were all the time filled, and then the contract ended, and then they had to be filled again and again and again. And this is not like a startup mentality that, oh, we'll see where it goes. It's literally organizational chaos, because things were not changing. We were still needing those people. So why wouldn't you offer them a permanent positions? And people were leaving even faster than the contract, and I wouldn't blame them. If they don't have a stability which might be important for them, then why would they stay there? You know how it is when you are working temporarily and you know that you have a deadline of work in that company. You might not feel that connected, that involved, and really give yourself in, because soon you're leaving anyway. So why would you put yourself all in if it might not be appreciated and your contract might not be renewed? So these were 5 red flags that you need to pay attention to, that they are not normal and something is off. So listen to those. And here is a clear, literally clear framework how I evaluate every job opportunity to figure out if I even should invest in it and say yes, or should I just move forward and choose another opportunity? C is, can you define the success of this role? How the performance is measured? L stands for leadership. Is leadership organized and respectful? If something seems chaotic, if they don't reply even though they said they're going to get back to you in a week or 2 weeks, and if they reply to you later, they are not fulfilling their promise, and this is just already a bad start. And it's just the beginning. E stands for engaged and energized. Are the employees engaged and energized? Do they seem like they have spark in their eyes, do they really enjoy their job, or do they look like a robot that somebody like Dementor just sucked all their energy and they are just there surviving, going through the motions? Are my skills actually what they need? Most of the time, especially for women, we choose the job that is below our qualifications. And if this is just a basic job with basic skills and we have much more to offer, I wouldn't recommend to go in that direction. Of course, if you choose a job above your skills, you might have an imposter syndrome for a long time, but you will grow. But if you decide to choose a job below your qualifications, this is not what they need. You will be undervalued. You will be going through the motions because you have those skills in your little fingers and you need more. R stands for realistic timeline for growth and development. Is there even any opportunity development in this role? In my job that I had, and I suffered, my soul suffered, the problem was that to grow and to get a higher position, somebody else had to leave. And because nobody was moving anywhere, I was being stuck in that job role for years until maybe some opportunity will become available, but there was no guarantee they would ever be. So basically there was no growth opportunity, and whatever you could develop in, they were telling you to do that in your free time or during a lunch break, because time for work is a time for work. So no hope for the future or future development or growth within this company. If for any of those you would say a hard no, I would walk away. If two or more are questionable, I would definitely walk away and not pursue that direction, like run away in a different direction. And now I want to hear from you what career red flags you have ignored, or maybe you caught them in time and you avoided some negative outcomes and you saved a couple of years in a really horrible environment. Drop the comment down below and I guarantee you that your message will help somebody else to avoid your mistakes or to warn them before it's too late. And in upcoming videos, I'll be sharing more about how to leave toxic environment and not burn bridges, even though it might seem like a good idea at the moment, but it's never a good idea long term, and what to do and how to recover after such a toxic job and environment and industry that you should never been there, but well, here we are. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel not to miss those videos, and I'll see you in the next video.